I'm not much of a wargame player. As a result, I was willing to give Impression's D-Day, the beginning of the end, a lot of leeway. But the more I played it, the more frustrated I got. This doesn't seem so much a game as a history class supplement. Ugh.
Whenever I play a serious war game, I always end up asking myself the same question. Do the designers ever talk to their marketing department? In the case of D-Day, I would have to conclude that they wouldn't recognize each other if they had collided in the executive washroom.
The controls aren't exactly what you'd call instinctive. I went through the tutorial at an agonizing pace and it didn't help much. Of course, if you've got the time, you can browse the 188 pages of supplementary material, including 46 pages on military history on Operation Overlord. Hey, that's putting the multi in multimedia.
I agree. The problem wasn't a lack of information. After slogging through the 4 manuals, I desperately wanted a 5th. That said, hey dummy, here's a list of some things that you might try so you'll be able to understand this game. To be fair, this game has plenty of detail to appeal to the wargame aficionado. The standard game begins on June 6, 1944, when the Allies landed in Normandy, and continues until May 3, 1945, when Berlin fell. You can also select from 3 different historical scenarios. When you begin a battle, you can let the computer do all the work, or you can select the Micro Miniatures Battle Mode, which allows you to assume direct command of your armies on a scrolling battlefield.
All the real action takes place in the aptly named Micro Miniatures phase, where your soldiers look more like pewter figures than people, even when they move. I sure hope the intent of this game was not to make World War II come alive in the mind of the player.
Suffice it to say that anybody who uses this option on a regular basis deserves a Purple Heart. The interface is only slightly less complicated than the operation of a nuclear power plant, and it turns a simple battle into a painfully long marathon.
Think of all the potential excitement and action in a game about war. Explosions, blood, roaring planes. What possibilities for a computer game, right? Wrong. This sucker is dry as a bone. While there are some good graphics, they're all stills of famous generals or generic soldiers, often with lengthy historical footnotes.
Historical detail is important in these types of games, but it would be nice if there were a few bones thrown to the potential player who might not be an amateur military historian. Unfortunately, like countless other war games, D-Day is targeted to sell to a very narrow audience. When the two of us get together to review a game, the hope is that we'll have a point-counterpoint type of exchange. But that just hasn't happened with this one. The feeling's unanimous. D-Day is simply a very boring game, unless your childhood idol was General Douglas MacArthur.
You said it. If countries had to use this game instead of real soldiers to fight wars, generals would all die of boredom, and the world would be a peaceful place.